Hey, so now what we are going to do is we are going to graph a couple of lines. And when we graph these lines, we're going to look at the slope and y-intercept. These are the two lines that we are going to graph, two lines in slope-intercept form. Our first one, y equals 3x minus 5, and our second one, y equals negative x plus 6. Ooh, it's going to be fun. All right, here we go. Y equals 3x minus 5. First things first, every single time I am going to follow these same steps each time. First, I'm going to identify my y-intercept and slope. The number one way that I can identify my y-intercept if I have a minus 5 is I need to make sure that whenever I see a subtraction sign, I'm going to turn it into plus a negative. So I'm going to rewrite this equation as y equals 3x plus a negative 5. So that way I can ID my slope and the y-intercept a little bit easier. In this case, here is my y-intercept, this negative 5. Here is my slope. So 0, negative 5. Slope is 3 over 1. Notice I wrote my slope as a fraction. I wrote 3 over 1. So I could see my rise and I could see my run super easily right away. So when I'm IDing my y-intercept and my slope, a couple of hints that I'm doing. Rewrite any subtraction as plus a negative number and write slope in rise over run form. So my equation, 3x plus a negative 5, I can see my slope is 3 over 1, and I can see my y-intercept is 0, negative 5. So now I'm going to start to graph it. After I've done that, I can graph, and I'm going to graph my y-intercept first. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. My y-intercept is graphed. It's right there. And then 3, I'm going to graph my slope. Okay? My slope I've already written in as rise over run. So I'm going to go on this point and I'm going to go up 3 units. 1, 2, 3 over 1 unit and make a dot. And I'm going to do the same thing over and over and over again. Up 3 units over 1. Up 3 units over 1. Every single time. So I can see those stair steps. And now I'm going to connect the dots between all of those stair steps. Woo! My arms almost don't go that long. And now I have my line. Sure, I didn't graph it perfectly. Like my line's not perfectly straight. If I wanted to, I could be super perfectionist and actually get out a yardstick for me and like do that. You can get out a piece of like a book edge or a ruler or something like that to do the same for you, but it's truly not necessary. We don't have to be that specific. But now I'm going to graph my other line. Y equals negative x plus 6. My y-intercept, I'm going to identify that first. My y-intercept right here, 0, 6. My slope is a little harder to see this time. Y equals negative x plus 6. We've talked about this before. The negative numbers, oftentimes we've talked about how a negative x value, they're the number that's hiding there, but not hiding very well. Remember that like 4-year-old that plays hide and seek but doesn't know how to do it quite right, so he hides behind the curtain, but you can still see his shoes sticking out underneath. That's this sort of situation. So this value that's right here isn't hiding very well because we can see it's negative in front. This is a negative 1 that's right up in there. So that means my slope, if I were to write it out, is negative 1, or I could rewrite it as a fraction of negative 1 over 1. Okay, so now I have my fraction negative 1 over 1. I'm going to use that to graph this thing. 0, 6, starting with my y-intercept. 0, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now I'm going to graph my slope. Same thing as before. I'm going to find the rise, which in this case is -1, versus the run, which is a +1. And I'm going to draw a dot. Down one, to the right one, draw a dot. Down one, to the right one, draw a dot. Down one, to the right one, draw a dot. And I can fill this whole thing up with dots in both directions. Cool? Now I can connect my dots. And I'm going to make an arrow on each end, and I'm done. So when you are finished polishing off your graphs, make sure your graph takes up as much of the graph paper as possible. Even with my short stature, I was able to get all the way up towards the top of the screen. So you should be able to do it as well. Just on a piece of paper, it shouldn't be that difficult. And 2, notice every single one of my graphs, I made sure that I have arrows showing that that line will continue forever. Okay, so go ahead and practice some graphing after you watch 1, 2, maybe 1, maybe 2. I'm still deciding on that second video. 1 or maybe 2 more videos after this. Thanks for watching. Bye.